Good morning, everybody, and once again, welcome to Off the Cuff. Off the Cuff is one of the highlights of my week. This is a segment where we answer your questions as a founder, as an entrepreneur, as a startup, the questions that you face on a daily basis in your work environment. Now, you might think to yourself, wait a minute, I'm not an entrepreneur, or I don't consider myself as an entrepreneur. Guys, if you're in management or work, these are the type of things that your peers are struggling with. So if you know an entrepreneur, please tag them. Please support the journey by following us, saying hello, giving kudos. And if you've got any questions, please do so by just commenting. We're live now. You can comment your business questions. We'll answer them after we've answered the 12 questions, and we'll get straight to that. So Off the Cuff is a segment where you guys get to post your questions regarding your business, sales, strategy, management, team, anything that you can think about. And we read it for the first time here. And Off the Cuff, as a consultant, I'll give my best approach to answer those questions. Now, some of these questions actually need a bit more of elaboration, a bit more of depth answering, and things like that. So we've got this pretty cool YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's everywhere. It's called Not Yet Mature. So take that note, Not Yet Mature. Or if you're not taking notes, just comment, DM us, send a message and say, Dion, where's the link to the podcast? Where's the link to the newsletter? And we'll gladly send you the newsletters absolutely for free, giving you the advice on the latest AI trends, tech, everything that you can implement in your business, and actually giving you some cool advice on how you can make money from building your own MVP. The only thing that we're asking for is your support by saying hello, comment, tag, just share this journey with other people. But looking into the questions that you guys submitted last week, the questions of that entrepreneurs facing with, and we're going to look at those 12 questions, and off the cuff in the moment, I'm going to give my best response. Now, here's the disclosure. All our clients need to pay for this responses, need to pay for the results that I'm giving you, right? As a consultant, I need to look at all the views, but you guys on this channel are getting absolutely everything for free. And the only thing that we like is please follow along on the journey. Go to YouTube, go to Spotify, go to Apple Music, and just say, Not Yet Mature. If you don't know what I'm talking about, send a question mark in the comments or DM us, and I'll send you the links to that, where we give so much more valuable advice to entrepreneurs, to startup, because we feel that you've got a massive calling in your life to create, and we want to give you the tools and the resources and the guidance and the ideas of what you can build today and how you can take that idea and actually monetize from it. We actually just released an episode on what it's going to cost to retire, and retirement's going to cost you 138 million rand if you didn't know. And you need to build towards that. So that episode is live on our YouTube right now, also available on our Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So you're so great. It's amazing having everyone here today. As you can see, I'm super excited, overly excited. And then obviously, I have been in front of the camera for ages now. So thank you for joining. This is Off the Cuff. It's our live segment answering the questions for entrepreneurs. And here we go. Looking at question number 1 today in front of me for Off the Cuff. And by the way, just as a friendly final remark, if you know anyone that considers himself an entrepreneur, why not just go ahead and tag them this? If you just comment hello, I'll wave back, I'll say hello, I'll try to interact and support the journey. Just please, this is so valuable for entrepreneurs out there. People want to start out their own businesses and never know where to start. So everyone, I can see you joining. Thank you so much. Hello to everybody. Unfortunately, I'm not going to accept any co-hosts or anything like that. So please don't worry about bringing that in. So question number 1, this is your guys' questions as entrepreneurs. I'm going to read it now for the first time, and I'm going to give you my best response. We're looking at 12 questions. And just once again, finally, if any of those questions kind of like inspires you, or you've got your own questions, just comment them. When I'm done with these 12, I'll go through the comment sections. I'll look at everything, and I would actually just say, hello, and I'll answer your questions. So thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the gifts and everything. You guys are massively amazing in supporting this journey on how we can improve, and steward entrepreneurs, startups, and businesses out there. So looking at question number 1, question number 1 reads as follows. It says, my calendar is wall-to-wall meetings all day, and I only do my actual work after everyone's gone home. How do I get my days back? I think as a founder and entrepreneur, we all kind of like struggle or relate to this, right? A full calendar feels like a productive one. Usually it's just proof other people are scheduling your priorities for you. Your day isn't busy, it's borrowed. Every open slot is an invitation for someone else, or especially someone else's urgency to move into your sharpest hours, which is why the real work waits until the building empties. You don't have a time problem, you have a defaults problem. Empty space reads as available, so people actually take it, it gets taken. So if this is your question or you struggling with someone like this, I would actually recommend 3 moves. Move number 1, block your 2 best hours for deep work before anyone can touch them, and treat that block like a meeting that you cannot move. The second thing that I'll recommend is set the default meeting to 25 minutes, not 60. Work expands to fill whatever box you draw. The third step that I would recommend in this is make no meeting the resting state. So every invite has to justify the interruption. Protect the morning and the day will follow. Defend the hours that actually build. And I hope that answers your question. If you're here for the first time, hello, welcome everybody. Thank you so much. I'll read through the comments later and I'll thank you for the support. And so great having everybody here at Off the Cuff this morning, answering your business questions applicable to founders, entrepreneurs, startups, and so welcome everybody here. Question number 2. Every quick question from my team shatters my focus and it takes forever to climb back into real work. How do I protect my attention without being unreachable? This is something that every entrepreneur and founder, especially solo entrepreneurs and solo founders, struggle with a lot. A quick question is very rarely quick. We all know that. It's cheap for the asker and expensive for you, and the bill is your concentration. The cost was never the 2 minutes. It's the 20 it takes to get back into the deep thought. Paid over and over until the day it is gone and nothing hard got finished. You are not bad at focus. You've built a system where interrupting you is the fastest way to get an answer. So of course, people will interrupt. 3 moves that I'll suggest if this is someone like you. Number 1, name the windows when you are reachable and the windows when you are not. And say both out loud so later stops reading as rejection. The second one is make the default channel a sync so questions queue instead of detonate. The third tip I would give you is batch the answers. Most urgent ones quietly resolve themselves before you arrive. Reachable all day means productive almost never. So guard the deep and batch the rest. And I hope that answers your question. The third question I have in front of me that's submitted by you guys, entrepreneurs. By the way, if you want to submit your own questions, you can write them in the comments now, business related, sales related. I'll answer them for you. I'll also look at the inboxes later. But where you can formally submit this, we've got links everywhere. It's called Off the Cuff. Each Friday, we take up our time and we answer these questions for entrepreneurs. We're in question number 3. We've got 12 questions I'm going to answer. And then also, obviously, looking at your guys' comments, if there's any comments that gets answers from this. So the third question I have in front of me, your guys' question, I plan my whole week every Monday and it's in ruins by Tuesday afternoon. I can vouch for that. Why don't my schedule survive contact with reality? Oh, guys, this is a amazing one. Your plan isn't failing you. That's good news. A week packed to 100% was never a schedule. It was a wish with kind of like timestamps, right? So you fall every hour. So the first surprise, and there is always one, has nowhere to land except on top of everything else. The problem, I would say, isn't your discipline. It's that you designed a week with no room left for the week to be itself, right? Personally, I don't plan around Mondays ever in my life. It's my rule of thumb. So it doesn't leave room for the week to plan itself, then called the overflow, kind of like a personal failing. 3 moves, 3 suggestions I would say is, first of all, plan only about 60% of your hours and leave the rest deliberately empty. That white space is where reality gets absorbed instead of kind of like exploding. The second tip I would say is separate the few must moves from the nice to do's and protect the must moves first. The third tip that I'll give you guys would say reset tomorrow at the end of each day, kind of like rather than guessing the whole week on Monday. Plan less, finish more, leave room for the week. Let's just quickly see if we have got a couple of questions that's coming in here now, because I just want to make sure I stay on top of the questions that's there. Just want to have a look at there. I'm pretty sure someone commented a business question right now. I might be. So hi, everybody. Nice to see you here. If you throw a wave, I'll throw a wave right back at you. So let's go. Don't see any questions. There we go. So the fourth question I have in front of me, your guys' question is, I spend my whole week on calls and demos with prospects, that's leads who never end up buying. How do I stop pouring hours into dead deals? This is kind of like part of my customer journey that I build for my clients. But in short, I would say time handed to the wrong buyer isn't generosity. It's a subsidy you can't afford. Pay to people who were never going to actually pay you. The trouble isn't your pitch, it's that you qualify with your calendar instead of your questions. Anyone willing to take a meeting gets hours. They get your hours, so the kind of like tire kickers kicking the tire around the road, and the real buyers cost you exactly the same. Your week is leaking through the gap where qualification was supposed to sit. 3 advices, if this is something for you that I'll give off the cuff in the moment, would be number 1, ask the disqualifying questions first. You can do that through a form, through a survey, like budget, timeline, who actually decides. A fast no is a gift. It's not a loss. Second one is make the prospect spend something before you do. A form, a prep document, a held slot, and watch the unserious people actually evaporate by themselves. The third one I'd say is cap your time per stage. A deal that won't move forward hasn't earned another hour. Spend your hours on buyers and not on audiences. Qualify before you actually calendar. That is my rule of thumb. I used to just put out links to my calendar in the past. It's still kind of like there. I don't enforce people just to, book it, because once they do have that link, they'll book it and they'll never pitch up to that. And now it's taken up all my slot. But when I put that friction before that, and Alex Hormozy speaks about it all the time, that friction, that creates the necessity of people to actually pitch up. And when they come to the meeting, then it's actually a discussion we're worth having. The 5th question from the 12 questions I have is, this is your guys' question. People constantly want to pick my brain over coffee, and it's quietly eating my week. Oh my goodness, have we all been there? How do I say no without torching the relationship? Well, everyone wants to pick your brain. Almost nobody wants to pay for the years that actually filled your brain. These asks arrive dressed as flattery. So you say yes and bleed an afternoon at a time, but every free coffee is an hour stolen from the work or the people with a real claim on you. So the kindness was never free. Someone you love is quietly funding it. 3 solutions I would say is, number 1, keep a real answer ready. I save the deep advice for clients, but here's one thing for free. Then give one genuinely useful sentence and stop. The second point I'll say, point them to something that you've already made, a post, a guide, a video, so that, so your thinking scales without your calendar. The third point that I'll say is, if it's worth a meeting, it's worth a fee. Offer the paid version without flinching. A clean no protects a real yes. Give the answer and not the afternoon. The 6th question I have in front of me is, I reply to client emails the second they arrive, even at 11 at night. Don't do that. Is that great service or problem I'm not seeing? Instant replies feels like great service. What you're actually training is a client who expects you to never be off. It's a bad thing. Don't do it. The first late night reply quietly writes the contract. You're always there, so nothing has to be planned and everything can wait until it's urgent for you. You think you're being responsive. You're teaching every client that your evenings, your focus, and your edges are theirs to spend. So don't do it. Solution, I'd say in 3 moves. 1, set the response time expectation up front. I reply within a day. So fast service becomes a standard that you chose, not a reflex that owns you. The second one I'd say is send the midnight replies for morning. The work's done. The precedent isn't set. And then the third one, I would say, decide which client generally gets the fast lane and stop handing everyone the most expensive version of you. Responsiveness is a promise. Make one that you can actually keep. Available on purpose and not on reflex. And I hope that answers your questions. If you're here for the first time, if you've got any questions regarding business, sales, company culture, process development, please comment them, tag fellow entrepreneurs, follow along on this journey, follow our channels. All our episodes in depth are up on Not Yet Mature. That's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, you name it. We just launched an episode regarding finances, the cost of retirement. And we've got a couple of things on how you can make money, adopt AI, things like that in your business that really is there to steward and shepherd and help the entrepreneur, because we feel that the entrepreneur's got a massive calling in their lives. So question number 7, my team books a meeting for everything and nobody seems to have time to do the actual work. How do I fix our meeting habit without killing collaboration? A lot of questions on time. I actually did a segment on Tuesday morning on time management with our wisdom series. Another one I'd recommend you check out, but here's my gist of it, right? A calendar full of meetings looks like a team that talks. Often it's a team that can't decide anything without an audience. Meetings multiply when nobody's sure who owns the call, so everyone gathers to share the risk. Your people don't love meetings. The org just has no other way to make a decision, so the meeting became the system. You are not over-calibrating, right? Or over-collaborating. You are under-deciding and paying for it in everyone's hours. The 3 advices I would give you is 1, every meeting needs an owner, a decision, and a doc, or it gets cancelled. Talking is not a purpose. The second tip I'll give you, submitted this question, is name a clear decider for each area so calls get made without a full room. 3, default to async updates and ring fence maker time blocks where meetings simply aren't allowed. Fewer rooms, clearer owners, real work returns. Meetings are a cost and it's not a culture. Ignore it as a culture. The 8th question I have in front of me. Thank you for joining Not Yet Mature this morning. Thank you for joining Off the Cuff. If you're here live, it's so great seeing you. Question number 8, only 12 questions not remaining in total, so 5 to go. I message my team late at night and on weekends, but I always add no rush. Why do people keep telling me that's still a problem? Culture is what you allow, first of all. No rush doesn't undo a midnight message. Your team reads the hour you sent it, not the words that you actually attached. When the boss pings at 11, the signal beats the disclaimer. People learn that work has no edges and start checking their phones at dinner just in case. You think you're being considerate? You are quietly setting the clock everyone else now lives by, then wondering why no one logs off. 3 things that I'll suggest here is, number 1, schedule send anything that would land after hours. The thought is captured, then pressure kind of like isn't. 2, say the boundary out loud and then model it, because the team copies what you do, never what you merely permit. And then the 3rd tip I'll say is protect their off hours the way you want yours protected, right? We model what we allow. Rest isn't a perk you grant. It's the condition good work actually needs. The leader, the manager, the team leader sets that clock. Your habits become your team members, your clients' hours. Question number 9. Everyone on my team is slammed all the time, but our actual priorities barely move. What am I missing? Okay, so I've said it once. I've said it on our podcast, Not Yet Mature. I've said it everywhere. I've said it so many times. Busy and productive are not the same word. It's a lie that we live one. One fills the day, the other one moves the thing that actually matters. When everyone's drowning but nothing ships, motion has become the performance. People get rewarded for looking full, not for finishing what counts. The problem isn't effort. You've never made the line between activity and progress visible. So the team optimizes for the part you can see, and the part you can see is busyness, right? 3 moves I'll suggest is 1, name the 2 or 3 outcomes that genuinely matter this quarter and let everything else be openly second class. 2, measure finished, not full, kind of like in stand-ups. Ask what moved, not what are you working on. And then the 3rd advice I'll say is give people permission to drop low-value work out loud. So subtraction stops feeling like slacking. Reward what moves, not what merely fills the hours. Busy is guys, keep this in mind if you're building a business or if you're working a team. Busy is not built. Last 3 questions I have in front of me. Thank you for joining it today. Please, guys, just subscribe to our channels. More of this is not always for you. It might be, but we're supporting the journey of stewarding, shepherding, and speaking to the lives of other entrepreneurs. So thank you for being here. If you've got any questions, you can comment them. I'll just scout later on. If I don't answer them, come back to this channel. Every single Friday, it's live where we answer your calls. The last 3 questions I have is, I treat my time as mine to spend however I want. I earned it. Is there actually anything wrong with that? Great question. Typical one solo entrepreneurs sit with. You can run your own calendar and still have one thing backwards. The hours were never really yours to begin with. The older wisdom is that time isn't owned. It's entrusted. It's handed to you in a fixed, unknown amount to give somewhere else, like on purpose. Treat it as pure property, and every hour becomes about extraction. What can I squeeze out of this? Treat it as and the question flips to what this hour was actually for. Once again, if this was your question, I would highly suggest on our channels now, Not Yet Mature, on Tuesday, we actually talked about, it's on YouTube and Spotify and Apple, we talked about time in our wisdom series. And that question gets, I think, 30 minutes worth of attention to really just encourage that wisdom of time management in your day. Because time isn't something we can manage. It's something we've been granted to steward. And it's a very important podcast to go and listen to. So 3 moves I'll say here. 1, at day's end, ask not, was I efficient? But what did this day belong to? That single question reorders entire week. 2, give your first and best hours to what matters most, not your leftovers. Whatever gets your peak is what you truly worship, whatever you'd say out loud, right? And then 3rd, hold your plans loosely enough so, that an interruption that matters isn't an enemy. You're a steward, you're not an owner. Spend the hours on purpose. The last 2 questions for Off the Cuff this morning, presented by ExCAP on our studio channels, Not Yet Mature, is, I give my sharpest hours to the business, and whatever's left to my family and my faith, I keep meaning to flip it. Why can't I? You don't give your best hours to work by accident. You give them to whatever you're most afraid to disappoint. The business pushes back louder, so it gets the peak of you, while the people who forgive you keep getting the scraps. This isn't a scheduling glitch. It's a quiet ranking. Your week is confessing what you actually treat as ultimate. And it isn't who you'd name if anyone asks. 3 things I suggest is, 1, put the non-negotiables in first. The dinner, the day off, the thing you keep deferring, and build the work around them, not after them. 2, give one of them your genuine peak hours this week, not your tired ones, and watch what shifts. 3, I'd say guard those blocks like a paying client, because the people who don't bill you still deserve your best. First things first, quite literally. Your calendar names your God. I can't, and then the final question is, I can't switch off. Even when I'm resting, I feel like I should be working. This is a typical faith entrepreneurial journey. How do I actually stop? Rest feels like the thing you do once the work is finished. The work is never finished, which is exactly why rest can't wait for it. The guilt tells you stopping is laziness, but refusing to stop is its own confession. A confession that you believe it all holds together only because you never let it go. That isn't diligence. It's a quiet belief that you're the one keeping the world spinning. And the inability to rest is precisely where it shows. 3 moves, 3 things I'll suggest, and then I'm going to say goodbye. If you don't have any questions, thank you so much for being here. 3 suggestions is, 1, schedule rest before the work, not after, and treat it as an appointment you keep rather than a reward that you earn. The second one is practice stopping while things are still unfinished on purpose, because that's the only way to learn the business survives without you. And then the third one is name what you're afraid will collapse if you rest. Then test whether it's true. It almost never is. Stopping is a kind of trust that you need to kind of like just take in. Thank you so much for joining here. If you have no idea who I am, what this is all about, just go and Google Not Yet Mature. Support our journey. Everything, all the YouTube channels are on there. We've We've got a heart and passion for entrepreneurship. We want to speak into that, and we answer your questions on the show to just give you some guidance on how to better steward your company, your idea, your prospect, your team, and everything like that. It's absolutely amazing having you here. If you're here for the first time, by the way, just check if you're following us. Just give us a follow. Tag a friend that might find this valuable. And if you need assistance in your own company, reach out to us. We would love to help. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Cheers.